It's your boy, U-Goboy. That's Mongo, all right? This is the U-Goboy podcast channel. But before we start, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We got unfiltered, authentic conversations. We got sports talk. We got drops. Oh, yeah. So, Mongo, what should they do?
Like and subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Yahtzee. Let's talk about defense because, we mentioned, of course, Travis Hunter. I think that, shout out to Shamar Stewart. We got to talk about him. He might be a future Jet. You know what I mean? He was on All Things Covered with Brian McFadden and my main man, Patrick Peterson. I got a chance to talk to him. He's a really cool guy. 6'5" freak, tore up the combine, very low sack production. There's a lot of that in this draft. There's a lot of guys that you look at what they did in the combine and you look at the frame, like Michael Williams from Georgia, you're just like, oh my God, this is the prototypical pass rusher. They'll be like, yeah, he had 2 career sacks in college football. I refuse to buy into the floor or potential guys. I've never been a fan of potential. I'm a fan of the other P word, production. All right. What did you do in SEC play, in Big Ten play, in the college football playoff, in your 3 to 4 or 5 years in college football? What did you do? Because the tape doesn't lie, but the numbers don't either. All right. So if you're not getting sacks in the NFL, if you're averaging 1 sack a year, 2 sacks a year, 3 sacks a year, like this is why the Mike Green kid from Marshall, he's getting hammered because he went to Marshall. But I'm just like, somebody else who went to Marshall that got hammered for going to Marshall? His name was Randy Moss. All right. How did that work out? You know what I mean? For everybody that passed on him. We picked Greg Ellis because, Randy Moss smoked too much weed, I guess. That was what we were worried about, not Michael Irvin and everybody else in the White House. Go look that up, what that means. You know what I mean? But no, Mike Green had like 17 sacks last year. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm about production. I'm about the linebackers, like Schwetzinger from UCLA or like a number of guys that were getting like 110 or 120 tackles. Give me tackling machines. Give me guys that production-wise, they're getting 10 to 15 tackles a game. They're getting 8 to 10 sacks a year. Give me production. I could care less about potential. Potential is the closest word to bust to me. You know what I mean? Because half these guys are going to bust anyway. You know what I mean? But it's just like, what are you more comfortable with? How do you feel about it in terms of the defensive guys? What defensive guys are giving you those vibes, Mongo?
No, we're in sync, man. I do have, listen, I have a Vernon Golston jersey. I cry myself to sleep in every now and then. So listen, I know potential as well as anybody. The one thing I will say, and this is where if we were in studio, I'd cue the X-Files music here. So you can post.
I'll add it in post.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you can post that later. I do at least slightly question. We saw a number of, especially SEC games, but a couple Big Tens where it almost felt like the big dog teams were just kind of like soccer teams playing to a draw. We saw a lot of, listen, 8 teams are getting in the playoffs. If I lose 27-21, it's not the end of the world. And I do wonder if some of these bigger end teams were intentionally kind of not resting, but, I'm not going to send my players in on a sack every time where they can get themselves injured, get their hand stepped on, be out for 3 weeks, and then, miss the field of, 8. I need them in the long term. And so if this becomes a trend, I worry that this would be the year that the trend started. And that's always the hardest year to project. Right. So if I was to ever, and again, tackles are inexcusable, right? So the ones who are low on tackles, I'm with you. But these guys who, look the part but only have 2-3 sacks from some of the big, especially Georgia looked like they were intentionally trying to tie a game to a point where I genuinely thought they might have had they Pete Rose themselves trying to win money on a tie. I mean, they really played a weird vanilla style of football this year. So I'd give him a pass, but I'm with you. I'm looking for guys who, it's an eye test, right? You can just watch for 5 minutes and you go, oh, there's Abdul Carter again. There's Tyler Warren again, right? You go look at these guys and just go, they're taking over the game, and you didn't necessarily see that, in Georgia games. And I keep picking on Georgia because, and not even I'm picking on Georgia because when we talk about sleepers, maybe in the lightning round later or something, I have a day 3 guy who I think is getting no respect because it was real easy to just not see anybody in a Georgia game, right? It was really just they came and went, and you went, "What did I just watch?" So yeah, I'm with you in general. Give me the stats. Um, I do think in general, if and again, not to totally spoil, but one thing the Jets might want to consider um, is a trade down situation. There are a bunch of teams in the middle of the first round who could use an edge. Atlanta has basically needed one for 15 years. Listen,
Since
I'm
92.
I'm still skeptical on Arizona with Josh Sweat there. I know they paid him to be a true, ace of the defensive line there, but he's been a rotational guy in Philadelphia. I don't know how he's going to do surrounded by guys like LJ Collier in that defensive end room. I mean, he might need help. And so Jalen Walker to me from Georgia looks like the sort of obvious uh, edge above everybody else. If I'm the Jets, I'm starting a little bit of a bidding war because if I'm one of those mid teams, I am to me, I'm with you. None of these edges scream slam dunk to me from about pick 15 down to about pick 50. You're kind of guessing and not in a good way. I'm with you. Give me one of the, if I'm just in a position where if I'm in BPA mode, give me the 7th best wide receiver over the 7th best edge in this draft. And it's not terribly close.
It's your boy, U-Goboy. And my friends at New York Posse, they're going to hook you up with some official gear. The Knicks are hotter than ever, and they're going to get you right with some official snapbacks, beanies, official gear, official like tissue, baby. Hit that promo code below, 2024. Get 20% off on all New York Posse gear. Hit the link below, and they're going to get you right. It's your boy, U-Goboy. Yahtzee.